Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been trying to appeal to his party's conservative base with moves such as signing a 6-week abortion ban and fighting with Disney, but his efforts have not paid off in primary Republican polling. A recent Fox News poll shows him at 21%, 32 points behind President Donald Trump, and comparable with 19% that Robert F. Kennedy is receiving from the Democratic side. Candidates polling in the low 20s, like DeSantis, have gone on to win with about 20% of the time. DeSantis' decline is at least in part because of Trump's rise, who has gone from the low to mid-40s to above 50% in the average 2024 polling. DeSantis plays to the right, doesn't line up with where the anti-Trump forces are within the Republican Party, which includes a moderate wing that is least likely to want a ban on abortion after 6 weeks. By the way, this is a Fox News poll, and we all know Fox is no longer Trump's camp. They want DeSantis. So what are your thoughts on this story?
You know, I do think he's in trouble. I don't know. You know, when you watch his delivery sometimes, I mean, he's a great governor. I think we can all acknowledge that. And rational people will see what he's done in Florida. And policy-wise, I think he's on point. But I don't think this is about, he's not, moderate enough. There's something about DeSantis's delivery, I think, that is going to have a hard time translating to the national stage. I think if you stuck him on a stage today and you put him and you put someone like a Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump destroys him. Absolutely destroys him. And that's not because of policy, by the way. I think, Trump has he may step into some potholes here and there when he talks about, the vaccine. He may stop into, he's going to get himself into trouble when he talks about policy. And he's also going to be part of a legacy that people may reject. He also has the January 6th stuff. There's a lot of baggage that he has, but there's something about his ability to captivate an audience, about his charisma, about his capacity to own that stage that DeSantis doesn't quite have. There's something missing there. Now, also, you have this rift right now in the Republican Party. I don't know that the Trump voters who are really passionate about Trump, I don't know if all of those go over to DeSantis. I don't think that the DeSantis voters necessarily go over to Trump. So I think this rift is going to be an issue. I think we're going to need to, if Republicans want to win, we're going to have to decide, first of all, is there an official run here from DeSantis? What does that look like? Also, all of this travel that he's doing, this world tour that he did where he's everywhere, but there's no official announcement. I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. People don't understand what his strategy is. Is your strategy to be this fantastic, incredible governor in Florida with a great record? Is your strategy to move on to the national stage? And I don't think people know what to do with all of this chaos right now. Because if DeSantis moves out of the way and says, I'm not doing it, then I think things look very different for Trump. If DeSantis is in the game, then people have to start thinking about this differently. I don't know what's going to happen here, but he is missing something. He's missing that star power that you don't necessarily need as a governor, but you do need on that national stage. You really do. It makes a huge difference.
And you know why you need it? I know you want to say something, Tom. And you know why you need it? Here's why you need it. So you don't need it all the time. I mean, Biden's got zero star power.
That's different,
but that's what I'm saying to you. But Biden has zero star power, right? I think Sanders has star power, right? If you think about Bernie Sanders, forget about his policies. It's ludicrous, but he's got star power, right?
Yeah.
Obama, star power.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Clinton, star power, right? You look at John Kerry, no star power, right? John F. Kennedy, star power. Nixon, no star power. You can go back and say, well, that's not necessarily true in the history of all this other stuff. The problem he's facing, the guy that's part of his party that's leading right now has been a star before he was born.
Yeah.
Because his mom and his dad were stars and that, they were in the parties, they were all. So he's grown up. And in a way, it's unfair to DeSantis because DeSantis has not been in the, limelight, Hollywood, stars, parties, networking, charm, charisma, selling, all this stuff. He's been more the doer. I'm going to get the job done. But now when the camera lights, everything is on action, you kind of got to show up, in the way it happened with his books. There was not a lot of performance there, Tom.
Jed, I want to dig in a little bit on what you just said because it's very interesting. You were saying that thing. And I've sat back and I've always believed that Bill Clinton could have carried the day on any other president or candidate, including Obama. I think actually he would have been more tenaciously, factually, a stronger debate with Obama. And the American voter right now kind of is short attention span theater. I think we could probably agree on that. And they're easily impressionable. DeSantis doesn't have that charisma there that Trump does, the stage presence. So what do you think happens over the course of the summer? We've got a tough economy. Does short attention span theater carry the day on the GOP side? Or do people back up and start thinking maybe a little bit more rationally about economics and start looking at DeSantis' record? I don't have a bias here. I actually don't have an opinion yet. I'm kind of watching like everybody else, but you dig into it. What do you think?
No, I don't think that need for the entertainer ever goes away. And I always said this, if you're not entertaining people, they're not listening. So you can be a doer and you can be incredibly efficient. And Ron DeSantis is. He's that guy that you hire if you want to get stuff done, right? That's great. But he's not the guy you hire if you want to convince people to vote for him to get that stuff done. So and the other option is, does this become a team? I don't know. They've been taking, Trump's been taking a lot of jabs at DeSantis, but truly, if you paired them, then you have the efficiency of a Ron DeSantis, you have the record of a Ron DeSantis, and you have the powerhouse personality of a Donald Trump. That's a very interesting ticket to me.
You mean President VP?
Yeah.
You know what
interesting.
Giuliani said? It can't happen because they're both residents of Florida.
Oh,
so
yeah,
by
that's
law,
right.
you can't do that.
That's right.
Because they're both from Florida.
But that's what you need. So, if, say, it's Trump, he needs to be looking for someone. He doesn't need that big personality. He needs somebody who is a doer in the same way that Ron DeSantis doesn't need a doer. He needs the personality.
Yeah.
So that's the complementary structure that works. GOP voters will not just push to the side and say, the economy's, let me vote based on issues. Let me get practical right now. That actually goes very much against most people's human nature. They want someone who they're going to want to sit and hang out with. And right now, Ron DeSantis is reading a little bit too much like a politician or a businessman. He needs to read more like someone that you'd want to have a beer with. That's just a reality. You don't have to like that reality, but it is what gets somebody elected. Not with Biden. Now, let me just address Biden for a second, though, because you said, first of all, it's very different with Democrats. Everyone, media at large, Hollywood at large, everyone rushes in to help Democrats. They actually have to be less entertaining and bring a lot less to the table because they have so much in their favor. But Biden used to be a funny guy.
Yeah.
I interviewed him on the set of The View. We had him on. He was funny. He was likable. I walked away. He whispered in my ear, hey, don't tell anyone, but I'm a big fan. We had a great discussion. He was very charismatic.
Yeah.
And he was that guy, right? He knew what to say, this,
Did
that.
you get a little grab there, too?
No, he didn't,
definitely-
thankfully.
he definitely
didn't
sniffed
approach.
your hair.
Although there is a picture.
Did he smell your hair?
He smelled your hair 100%.
There's a picture out there of him leaning in, and I'm like, this. And everybody did memes on that.
So funny.
But he had a person. He's not present anymore.
he's
But
gone.
he doesn't need to be. Republicans need to be everything and more right now to get elected.
But I think it is though. Jen, you were talking about that missing thing. Trump is he's not a veteran in military like DeSantis is, but he's a veteran of the media and the gut. Everybody, that swamp that he was talking about, he stood in the front lines. He fought these people. He won. They cheated on him. He still got there. Look at all the shit that they've done.
He's a patriotic.
He's a gangster, bro.
Look at those Thanksgivings where he showed up around the world at places.
I gotta say
those
something.
boys loved him.
He is a boss. He is a leader. But the scary thing is, Jed, that look what they're doing. They did all this investigation, all this whatever. Now Trump is number one. DeSantis is barely hanging on. The left, we have to ask ourselves a question. Why is the left so wanting Trump in there? Because they think that they could get his ass out. They could beat him. That's
Here's So Blue Ocean Strategy, we just interviewed the authors for 2 hours, and we had a very interesting conversation about ESG, DEI. If you guys know about that book, I've probably sold 100,000 copies of that book. I love that book. If you've never read it, you got to read it. It's the number one or number two best marketing book in the history of business books, tied with Michael Porter, Competitive Strategy, and top 10 best business books of all time. The book sold 5.5 million copies. Incredible book. They got a new book coming out called Beyond Disruption. It's a great conversation. Everything in life, you have to look at yourself as a product, your company, your country. Anything you do is a blue ocean concept. So what can I compete? Like if you're trying to date a girl and you're going up against Larry, okay? And if Larry comes from a rich family and this guy's family is rich and he's the quarterback and he's the guy, the jock, all this other stuff, but he's really dumb, okay? But he's extremely handsome. However, from your end, you're a competitive swimmer and you have this and your background is rugged and you're coming from streets and you're kind of like this. You can't go and try to compete with him in an area that he's got you beat. You're not going to win, bro. You're just not going to win, okay, in the blue ocean concept. Okay, if we look at America against other countries, so other countries' argument could be like in Iran. I'll never forget when I'm sitting with my mom, and my mom was supportive of Khomeini because the fear they had is, look what Iran's losing. It's losing its conservative values. Women are out there wearing this, and they're no longer wearing scarves, and they're becoming hookers. And they're literally, women in Iran were afraid that by giving too much freedom to women, their daughters could one day end up becoming street girls, all this other stuff. So that was how it was sold. But Iran realized you can't sell to women of Iran. You can be free. You can do what you want to do. You can do this. No, we have to give our argument that's different than Iran, than U.S. Because if we talk about freedom, you're going to lose to U.S.,
100%.
right? Let's do DeSantis against everybody else here right now, okay? Charisma, you're going to lose. Charm, you will lose, okay? Policies, you will win, okay? Leadership and doing it during COVID when it was so nasty. You won't win. You will dominate, okay? When it comes down to getting into a fight, can you stand up? Yes. When you do interviews and somebody's not in your ear trying to make you look perfect and you're just yourself and you're the tough guy that's going out there and pushing, challenging, all that stuff, that's a turn on. And you're like, here's what I stand for. I think if a marketer sits down and says, dude, blue ocean strategy, you're not going to beat him in this game. Rubio and Cruz tried, and they got destroyed. So don't try to play that game. But if there's one thing about DeSantis, if he goes and they push him and he fights, he's in more, opportunities to debate somebody, opportunities where to have a banter with somebody on TV, going on CNN, going on MSNBC, and they're pushing him, and he comes back and says, what about this, and what about that, and what about this, and what about that? I think he wins there because I think naturally he is a street brawler, but I feel like he's being held back from brawling. I think that is something that is a strength. I think someone in his ears not letting him brawl.
I think
there.
he's guarded. He's very guarded, but he has a likability problem. Like if you think about, I mean, you talked about Rubio and Cruz. Rubio and Cruz are not likable. Like I don't want to hang out with either of them. I don't. And I think a lot of people would probably find themselves saying the same thing. Not that you don't want them to run something, but again, I'm talking about likability. Can you imagine Ron DeSantis excelling the way Trump does? When Trump goes to a small town and he walks into the pizzeria and he's like, hey, everyone, and he has the pizzeria, or he has the bite of the McDonald's hamburger, or whatever that is, he shines. He is a man of the people in those moments.
Compare DeSantis to that.
He has to be able to do that, though. DeSantis has to be able to do
don't
that.
think at that
Do you
level.
think his marketing
He's not
team?
going to win an election if he can't appeal to people in a way that resonates with them.
So, for example,
if they don't like him, they're not voting for him.
Do you remember the Dukakis story where he came on the tank? Do you know that whole story?
Oh, my
Where
gosh.
after that, it was. Do you know the story with Dukakis and the tank?
No.
Rob, do you know the story or no? Just type Dukakis and tank. This is when he was over with. Tom, do you want to tell us what the story's about?
So Michael Dukakis has to look like, a little bit of all America. I'm going to be a commander in chief, and I'm just a governor up here, and they're criticizing me for being a brainy little governor. So what he did was he went out riding around in this tank, taking a tour of a military facility. And Bush, remember, this is Bush Sr., Herbert Walker Bush. Bush looks at that, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's thank you." Thank you, Jesus.
He's destroyed.
Thank you for this picture and everything. And he came out, he was destroyed because, number one, he didn't look presidential. Number two, he didn't look like a commander-in-chief. He looked like a geek, and he had let Willie Horton out of jail only to commit another crime. And so his back was up against the wall, and it's basically...
Tom, he looks like he's from the Middle East.
Yeah, that looks like a Taliban guy.
No, he looks like he's in a high
He looks
school...
like he's my second cousin or something, like we're related.
He's in a high school play about Vietnam is what this is.
But here's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make a point about what Jed is saying. Here's the point. Okay, where can DeSantis excel if he does videos and clips and things like that? Hang out with Navy SEALs. Go to the military, because guess what? They know you. Go hang out with Navy SEALs. We all respect SEALs. You were commander of Navy SEAL team. Go around Navy SEALs. What do we think about when we think about SEAL Team 6? What do I think about when we think about Navy SEALs? Imagine he's going out there sitting there with 20 other Navy SEALs that respect him. And he's talking about the great work that they do. All of a sudden, we're like, oh, my God, this guy's a Navy SEAL. Look, he was a commander. He wasn't a Navy SEAL, but he was a commander of a Navy SEAL team. There is things that others cannot do that. You were not in the military, so you don't understand. I think the positioning for him, if he goes direct to what Trump naturally has been doing in New York.
Yep.
and nationwide, I think he's going to get destroyed.
Pat, does he have to hire a team? But Pat, because you talked about this on the Giuliani thing, about his marketing team, how they weren't doing a great job, especially with the book.
I'm making a phone call to Blue Ocean Strategy Consultants, and I'm hiring them low-key.
Go with that question. Go with that line. I know where you're going. I want to follow up. Go.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is like, Pat, you're right now, DeSantis, I got the Navy SEAL thing. But are you going as of right now, Pat? Are you just getting aggressive and going out there? Because, he has to work out that muscle, Pat. That DeSantis has a little bit of it because I think he got that from Trump. He kind of takes his cues on like how he talks to the media, but he hasn't had that really fight, that big argument with any media outlet where you're like, oh shit, this guy, he's good. Like go ahead, Tom.
So here's something that I saw. The people that have been at school and served and knew DeSantis from Yale and from his time as a JAG, which was Judge Advocate General in the Navy, all said the same thing. That getting an argument with this guy or getting a debate with this guy.
Let me correct this first.
And he comes
DeSantis joined the United States Navy in 2000, promoted to a lieutenant before serving as a legal advisor to SEAL Team 1.
Yes.
Just want to put that out there so everybody knows. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, correct. He was a JAG. So he was a Judge Advocate, which is a lawyer in the Navy, and he was working with SEAL Team 1. It says, you can't prosecute these guys. The bad guys deserve to die. So that's what he was basically doing for a while. Yeah. But what he did, do you remember when he got in, he wasn't so packaged? Right now what you're seeing is political consultants and other people packaging the candidates. And I know Jed's got an opinion on this and can amplify it. She's got more information than I do on this. But the consultants package candidates the same way you get packaged and produced when you're, when you're on a show on TV. Do you remember during the debate, why is Florida open? What the hell are they doing down there? And they allowed some of the media to get close and ask unscripted questions. Do you remember what that governor with his rolled up sleeves from the podium was telling people? No. You don't tell me. I'm leading this state, and this is what we're doing.
He's a leader.
Remember that?
He's a leader.
That was unscripted. They're trying to package him, I think.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, like what DeSantis is missing for me, and I by the way, I'm a fan of his policies. I am. But what he's missing is very hard to teach. It's very hard to teach. I would rather, if you had to hire me for that role, I would rather have to teach Trump how to change what he's doing because he's got stuff that's so hard to teach, that charisma. You can't teach it to Hillary Clinton. People on the Democrat side have been trying to teach her how to be likable, how to relate to people. There's like a film over her. And what DeSantis needs to lose is this politician vibe. Mm-hmm. He doesn't read as like a non-politician. That's what Trump has. That's why he's considered a hero to people who believe in populism. I think it's going to be very hard. Is that to say that DeSantis can't overcome it? No, but it's going to be really challenging for him because I don't think it's natural for him. I don't think you can hire a media consultant. And by the way, most of the times, the people that get hired by these politicians are people who don't know how to do media. I'm always like, just hire somebody who understands this game, who gets charisma. They never hire those people. But even if you hired somebody, I think it's going to be really hard to push DeSantis. He reads, like you said, he's a lawyer for the SEALs. He reads like the lawyer. He doesn't have that blue collar vibe. And that's really what most of America is, right? We're really just regular people. I grew up behind the Staten Island dump. Like I want to feel like somebody gets my struggle, and he's too polished. If he can lose that, I think he can climb.
And I don't think in a year, Tom, that's just my personal opinion. But let's not forget, we live in Florida now, right? We came here because we heard this guy speaking, and DeSantis is Florida famous. Yeah. Trump is international, bro. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows the attitude. I don't think a year is going to be enough for him.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.